right into it, shall we? First off, the background information, obviously it's lesson 6.4, special parallelograms. Like, that's what we're doing, special parallelograms. So, first off, let's talk about what we know about parallelograms before we get right into it. So, lesson 6.4, special parallelograms. What do we know about parallelograms? Someone raise your hand. Or just call it out, sure.
The inside is equal to 360, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, interior angles add up to 360. Sure. Okay, anything else?
Sides must be congruent.
Opposite sides are congruent, that's right. Opposite sides are congruent. What else do we know? What do we know about the opposite sides? Think about the name, parallelogram.
They're
They're-
four triangles.
What do I know about opposite sides in a parallelogram? Yeah, opposite sides are parallel. You guys shouldn't need your computers open right now. You'll need them later, but you don't need them now. So everyone should have your computers closed. So opposite sides are parallel. What do I know about the opposite angles of a parallelogram?
They're congruent.
Opposite angles are congruent.
And then the same side angles are
Congruent. And it's not called the same side, it's called the consecutive. Consecutive are the ones right next to each other. Consecutive angles are supplementary.
What about the diagonals?
Oh yeah, the diagonals bisect each other. Thank you. The diagonals bisect each other. Thank you. Okay, and you don't really need to 100% write all this down. I'm glad if you are, but this is going to be on YouTube. You can take a picture on your phone, sure. Always, 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 just make sure you put your phone away after you're done with that. Marcus, if you want, you can come sit right here. I'll just come sit right here. Okay. So these are the things that we know about parallelograms. And all these things still apply to these new shapes. So we're talking about parallelograms still, but we're talking about special parallelograms. So if I say special parallelograms, are they still parallelograms? Yeah. Like if I give you strawberries and I say, hey, these are special strawberries, they're still strawberries, right? Right? I think so? Right? Yeah? Nobody likes strawberries in this class, apparently. Neither. Okay. So if I give you special strawberries, they're great, they're special, but they're still strawberries, right? So these are special parallelograms that are still parallelograms, but there's something special about them. So let's figure out what's so special about these parallelograms. So let's start with your first page. Here we see a, what shape is that, class? Rectangle. A rectangle is a quadrilateral with four what angles? Right angles. Very good. Four right angles. So go ahead and write that in. Oh. Four right angles. Yes, there is. You're missing it, aren't you? Anyone else missing a sheet? Four right angles. Hey. Hey, ho. A rectangle is a quadrilateral with four right angles. Yeah. Okay. And then we continue on. So four right angles. What's the measure of a right angle? 90 degrees. Sure is. That's correct. So let's look at the properties of rectangles. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. So, properties of rectangles. Okay. Andrea, go ahead and read this first one for me.
If a quadrilateral is a rectangle, then it is a parallelogram.
There you go. If a quadrilateral is a rectangle, then it is a parallelogram. This is basically saying a rectangle is a parallelogram. What does that mean? All those things apply. The opposite sides are parallel. Opposite angles are congruent. Opposite sides are congruent. All that stuff that we just talked about applies because this is a parallelogram. And the next one, Akira, will you read the next one for me? Okay, its diagonals are congruent. Everybody underline or highlight that. Guys, if you don't have a highlighter, I'd recommend that you get it because we're going to do notes like this, and highlighters are cool. So, if a parallelogram is a rectangle, then its diagonals are what? Congruent. So the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. And you can even write that down in your own words right below that, and I would probably do that if I were you.
Wait, what does that mean though? Like,
The diagonals.
The whole diagonal is congruent? Like,
Yeah. The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. What does that mean? This AC is congruent to BD. Those two red lines are congruent to one another. Does that make sense? Or if I highlight it further, this green line is congruent to this blue line. Those are congruent, which means they're the same length. Okay, any questions about that? So immediately once we have those pieces of information, we can go ahead and do the example problems. So go ahead and look below there and do the example problems that you're given, 1A and 1B. You should be able to do that now with just the information that I've provided for you. Go ahead and do that now. Solve, trying to get the answers to those questions. Okay. The rectangular gate has diagonal braces. First off, what type of shape is this? Rectangle. There you go. It's a rectangle. It says a rectangular gate, so I know it's a rectangle. Is a square a rectangle?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a special type of rectangle. Is every rectangle a square?
No.
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 Okay. Find each length. So it's asking for HJ. So I'm just going to highlight that right there. It's asking for HJ. So that's that right there. That's HJ. Okay. Well, how can I figure out what the length of HJ is? Yes, sir?
The bottom is 48. Because G and K have.
So GK is 48. So what does that tell us about HJ? It's also 48 because opposite sides are congruent. So that's 48 inches as well. Now I'm interested in HK, so I'm going to highlight HK. Well, HK is this right here. How can I figure out what HK is? Yes, sir.
Multiply 30.8.
Very good. Reese correctly noticed that this 30.8 wasn't the whole diagonal, it was just half. And so that's very good, because that wasn't necessarily clear. This 30.8 inches is only, I'll show you this little half of the diagonal. So it's just from here to here. So that is 30.8. So what do I know about the diagonals of a rectangle? They are congruent. The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So therefore, if this is 30.8, then the green is 30.8 times 2, right? Which is 61.6 inches. Is that pretty clear? Okay, any questions on that? All right, cool. So there's a whole range of possible questions I could ask you, but it's all basically along these same kind of lines. Okay, you understand that the opposite sides are congruent, all sorts of things that we have to get familiar with parallelograms. Okay, so let's continue on to the next part of our lesson. And the next part of our lesson is on rhombuses. And I've got a really good joke about rhombuses. Do you guys want to hear it? Do you guys want to hear it? It's so good. Okay, so, all right, so there was a parallelogram. And he usually takes the bus to school, but like it's like a city bus, right? So it's not just like a yellow school bus. Like he has to catch the city bus. And he woke up this morning one time and he was just super tired. And this parallelogram was walking down the street and he was super tired and barely even looking. And it's like he usually like stops like at this first bus stop, but he like totally missed it because he was just like half asleep and kept walking. Went to the next bus stop for the number 7. He's supposed to get on the number 12. And he gets on the bus and he's like hanging out and he looks around and doesn't see anyone he recognizes. And he goes up to the bus driver and the parallelogram is like, "Hey, Mr. Bus Driver, like, is this the number 12? And the bus driver looks at him and says, "No, you got on the wrong bus." That's a good one. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we get it.
So
Oh my gosh.
a rhombus is a quadrilateral with 4 what sides? Congruent sides. Write that in. Write that in. Congruent sides. A rhombus is a quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides. What does that mean? All the sides of a rhombus are congruent. They're equal in length, exactly. Rhombus is quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides. No, I've had that one for years.
Saving that.
Yeah, I made it up in a geometry class though. I was just like talking about rhombuses and I was like, rhombus. And I just made it was fun. So you guys get to enjoy it too. All right. Here we go. These are the properties of a rhombus. So let's continue on. We can do it. We're in it together. I'll do what I do with my like 4-year-old when she starts being too whiny. I just like start mocking her. It sounds horrible, but she's 4 and she finds it funny. She'll be like, "Well, I don't want it." I'll be like, "Well, I don't want it." And she finally starts like cracking up. Like maybe that'll work for you guys too.
Do you have
No, it just make you guys feel worse. All right. Well, whatever.
Look, Margaret.
Okay.
Yeah, be careful.
Properties of rhombuses. All right, Priscilla, why don't you go ahead and read the first one? Go ahead.
If a quadrilateral is a rhombus, then it is a parallelogram.
Boom. There you go. A rhombus is a parallelogram. All those properties we handled in the beginning apply to this rhombus. Okay. Rachel, next one, please.
If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular.
Okay, this is new. The diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. What does that mean? I want you guys to all draw a bunch of 90-degree angles right in there. The diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. That means those angles are all how many degrees? 90 degrees. Those are right angles. The diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. That's very specific to a rhombus. Okay? And we're going to see later on that it also is true for a square, but all the properties of rectangles and rhombuses are for a square as well, and we're going to see that. Next, this one is a little bit longer. Oh, what did I do here? I didn't even take roll. Okay. Next, Randy, why don't you read that one for us? 645.
If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then each
Diagonal.
diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles.
Okay, good, good. The diagonals are what type of bisectors? Angle bisectors. The diagonals bisect the angles. What does a bisector do to an angle? Cuts it in half. It bisects it. Very good. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Look, angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. Angle 6 and angle 5 are congruent. You see that? Angle 8 and angle 7 are congruent. Angle 3 and angle 4 are congruent. The diagonals bisect the angles. Simple as that. You see? Okay, so you guys should now be able to go ahead and do the questions below. So go ahead and get started on 2A and 2B.
Do you have to define what A is, or do we just put?
Yeah, you can show A is.
You have to use all of that. You have to use the information given to you to solve.
Right.
You can do it. I believe in you. Do you believe in magic? It's tough the first time around. I'm gonna go through it.
Oh no, it's just like since I'm writing it, I don't want to write the whole thing.
Oh,
And then like think
okay.
about it. Because if I write it, then I'm crossed out.
Got it.
Like I crossed out this one. But
Oh.
then it was done.
Cool. Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Alright, give you another 10 seconds. Please get to work. Marcus, do it, man. Attention on the football field. And this problem is a giant D lineman, and he's standing in between you and the quarterback. 20 seconds left, and he's about to go for Hail Mary. You gotta protect your QB, man. All right.
It's open house today, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
I just
Guys,
saw-
look especially studious.
I just saw 4 huge tours. Like
Really?
2 of them had at least 30 people.
Oh, wow.
They're huge.
Wow. So be aware, guys. That's a good opportunity for you guys to share the love of Christ with people that aren't potentially saved. You know, so remember that as you're walking through the halls. If you see a tour, don't take that opportunity to be like, and make all sorts of funny noises or whatever. Just maybe take the opportunity to just like, hey, like, how's it going? Like,
No,
This
like,
is
when I
Calvary.
see people like on tour walking around, I try to like as fake as possible in plastic and like, yeah, I enjoy that people. Not that I don't, it's just that you know, like I'm trying to put on a show.
the truth comes out. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. CDFG is a rhombus. Got on the wrong bus. Find CD. Okay. What do I know about all the sides of? They're congruent, right? Which means, what do I know about this side and this side? Yeah. So what do? I set them equal and solve. Gosh, those are tough numbers. Subtract 3a. I end up getting 2a is equal to 17. Divide by 2. Guess it's not that tough. But a ends up equaling 8.5. Okay, then I have to plug this back in here. I get 5 times 8.5 is 42.5. So this side's 42.5, which means every side is 42.5. So all I did is I set the two equal to each other, I solved for a, and then I plugged in to find the length of the sides. Then it says the measure of angle GCH, find that measure if GCD is equal to B plus 3. So GCD is B plus 3, and CDF, that's this one, CDF is 6B minus 40. Okay, well, if it's a parallelogram, what do I know about the green and the yellow angle? Those are what? Are they opposite angles or are they consecutive angles? They're consecutive because they're next to each other. And consecutive angles in a parallelogram add up to 180. So I take those angle measures and I add them up and set them to 180, right? So I do B plus 3, that's the first one, plus 6B minus 40. They all add up to 180 because they're supplementary. B plus 6B is 7B. Negative 40 plus 3 is negative 37 equals 180. Add 37 to both sides. 7B equals 217. Divide by 7. I get B equals 31. Okay? B is equal to 31. Am I done yet? No, it's saying find GCH. Well, GCH is this angle right here. Okay, so I've got to find this green angle first. GCD is B plus 3. So this green angle is B plus 3, which is 31 plus 3 equals 34. That's the green angle. But GCH is this one. GCH is this one right here. It's half of that. So it's 34 divided by 2 equals 17 degrees. So the answer is 17 degrees. That was a lot. I did it quickly, but what's the reality? I had to recognize these two angles were consecutive, which means they add up to 180. Once I do that, I solve for B. Then I think, what angle is it asking me to solve for? Well, GCH is this angle here, which I know is half of the green angle. Because the diagonals of a rhombus, what do they do to the angles? Bisect. Diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles. So this red angle is half of that one. So I solve for the green one by doing just B plus 3 is 34, and then divide it by 2. Solve. Does that make sense, guys?
Are we going to be able to do another problem?
I don't have like an example problem, but we're gonna have Kahoots. This was actually harder than like what I'm giving you on the Kahoots and the quiz, because it was a little bit more involved. But does that make sense? Do the steps make sense to everybody? Yeah. Yes, sir.
How did you get the 31?
Because B plus 3, this green angle, GCD, is B plus 3. So B, I said, was 31, so this angle, GCD, is B plus 3. So
can you
31.
solve for the 6B minus 42?
No, because I'm not interested in that. It says find GCH, which is only this angle. It doesn't ask for CDF. If it asked me for CDF, then I would have to. Good question. So I just do B plus 3 is 34, and I get the green angle, and then cut it in half to get the red angle. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. Any other questions? No? Are you guys ready to Kahoot? Let's do it. It's fun, guys. When I make the Kahoots, I always play them myself, and I always get first place. It's great. I feel so good about myself. Yeah, boy.
I have like just in case for the emergency babysitting. I swear I stabs them. And then they joke for a long time. Just like a song. A very long time. I think please hold a spoon.
So that's very much to be such a because after this, after school, I have to go work out, and then I have to go to swimming practice.
Swimming practice?
It's not even for like the team or anything, it's just for my
Oh,
own
it's
part.
Valentine's Day.
The candygrams?
Oh!
It was Valentine's Day. This is the 14th.
No, but what day is it?
14th?
It's Thursday. Wednesday.
Wait, does it change every year?
No, it's the 14th.
So is it the,
My brother's birthday is on Valentine's Day.
special thing?
He's a little Valentine's Day.
It changed the day, but it's not the date.
He's born on Valentine's Day.
Really? I love her.
Oh, my friend Ollie is the
Aww.
Who's R?
Randy.
Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Missing 2 people.
I want to play. Is that okay?
You don't want to play?
No.
You have to. That's what we're waiting on you, because you're just being a rebel.
You should go to
No, I'm just super slow. I just.
great edit content.
I was considering like maybe like doing a person that had the most points at the end of the semester, like get something. But it wouldn't be like grade related, it would be like handy.
What would it start from now?
I don't know, I have to think about that though. Because that's like extra work.
We can like
No.
score.
Nertha, good job.
Wait, was that
I don't think it was him.
What? No, this actually.
What? I'm just me.
Oh, I really don't like doing this.
QSRP is a rectangle. QS is equal to 380. So QS is 380. Find TQ, which is this right here.
Hey! People are out there watching us. I just like look at the window.
Really?
Yeah, they're like all two right around the watching us. I'm just like bopping like that.
You're like, I want to go to Calgary. They jam out. Okay. So QS is 380. QT is half
I
of
got it
that.
right.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I'm fantastic.
You're all fantastic. QSRP is a rectangle. RS is 160. Find PQ. RS is 160. Find PQ.
Where's Pete? Oh.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah.
Somebody! What's wrong with you? What's someone here?
I lost.
PQ is 160. It was the same exact length.
I'm in fourth place.
The opposite sides are congruent. Reese takes the lead.
I know see that.
It isn't working.
I'm sorry.
I think it's weird.
QRSP is a rectangle. QS is 380. Find PR. What do I know about the diagonals of a rectangle?
Wait, are you really new at that?
What do I know about the diagonals of a rectangle? The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Therefore, if QS is 380, then PR is also 380. Very good. Reese still in the lead, right behind Mac, Fantastic, Priscilla, and Olivia. Wow. It is just a matter of 40 points between first and fifth place. Find the measure of BC. BC, of side BC. So here's side BC. This is, oh, I should have said this is a rhombus. These are rhombuses. This is a rhombus. Yes, this is the rhombus. What do I know about the sides of a rhombus? They are, what do I know about the sides of a rhombus? They are congruent. So what should I do with these sides? Set them Equal. If the sides are congruent, they set them equal to each other. If I want to find the measure of the side, what do I have to solve for first? To solve for x. Very good. To solve for x first, once I solve for x, then I plug it back in.
Wait, what is 4y minus 1 pointing at?
That's the angle.
And then what's 10y?
10y is this angle right here. You'll see that in the next question. Trying to get a head start. Okay, look. 4x plus 15
Wait, don't tell me.
equals 7x plus 3. Set them equal, subtract 4x from both sides. 15 equals 3x plus 3, subtract 3. 3x equals 12, divide by 3. X equals 4, plug it back in. 4 times 4 plus 15 is 16 plus 15, which is 31. Or I could have plugged it in here. 4 times 7 is 28 plus 3 is 31. Alright, last one. And then you guys will have your quiz. ABCD is a rhombus. Find the measure of angle ABC. Oh wow.
Wait, you gave us enough information? I don't think this is...
I didn't. No, I meant to see ACD, this angle. Sorry. I meant to be this angle here, which is 4y minus 1. So you know that this angle is 10y. What do I know about the diagonals of a rhombus? They're what? They're not congruent. They bisect each other because it's a parallelogram, but they're perpendicular. So if I want to get this angle, I have to solve for y, right? Well, this angle is 10y. How many degrees? 90. So what's y? 90 equals 10y. Divide by 10, y equals 9. And then what do I do with y to get that angle?
9 into all of them.
Plug 9 in for just y. You see, I'm solving for this angle right here. It should have been ACB. Angle ACB. So that angle that I highlighted in green. So what did I do? It was 4y minus 1. 4 times 9 minus 1 is 36 minus 1, which is 35.
So we should definitely know that the diagonals always are perpendicular.
Of a rhombus. You have to know those properties that I've just given you for the quiz. But it's open notes, so go ahead. My CCA, you know how to do it, you know the drill. My CCA, open note, open everything. Go ahead and do the quiz. And then if we have some time, which I think we will, I will present just a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Did you take this picture?
Hmm?
Did you take this picture?
No. What?
It's next on the group.
Oh, see who won, right? Forgot about that part. Fantastic. Followed by Olivia. You knew you won.
Wait, I thought that you were nervous.
Or I'm like Andrew. Yeah, I'm just
Who was nervous?
I was there on my phone.
So my CCA, you guys are doing the quiz right now. You're definitely going to need paper and a pencil.
You came right on here.
Yeah, that's yours to keep. All the papers that I hand out for you guys are yours to keep, unless I specifically tell you otherwise. a little bit more. I just realized that I do actually have to present to you guys. So most of you guys are done. Continue on.
Median is 25. Find k over the opposite sides. So J is
Maybe we can do the same.
of course. It's not possible. But you're supposed to understand basically like how to do it based on information. So it's like yes, the answer is yes. How to do the same thing. But it's up to you to try to determine information.
Give you guys another 4 minutes. A few minutes. They're smart to do open houses on a Tuesday.
What?
Because if it was a Friday, everyone would be on Friday mode. On Monday, it was on Monday mode.
There were people here yesterday too, right?
Wednesday, people were just like on Wednesday mode.
Wait, what day is it today?
It's Tuesday.
I like Wednesdays. Wednesdays
I thought
are
today
my
was
favorite
Monday.
day.
Okay.
My life is a mess.
In a couple minutes, I'm gonna have to continue our lesson.
We work so hard.
It's just a brief thing that I need to make, and it's actually on the last page of your handout. If you guys want to, no, do it right there. That last page is about squares. You just want to read that over, actually.
Just square.
No,
You want
man.
this out loud or
And well, and then I'm gonna help you guys to fill in the blanks.
Now we're done.
the squares are quadrilateral?
There's still a couple people working, so let's be considerate of others.
If you need to share with us, everyone's in the place.
What? Um, yeah, no, I made some business before I realized I was gonna
What'd you get?
and I kind of just had it in. Not necessarily exact, but it's important. Yes.
If I didn't take like some more quizzes, like would I be
You
able
said
to?
you emailed it,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. I actually was in the process of writing it back.
Okay. So you know.
All right. Shh. All right, let's continue. Just a brief tidbit of our lesson continues on here. If we read that out loud, Marcus, why don't you go ahead and read the first statement?
A square is a quadrilateral with 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides.
Well, there you go. That's helping you fill in the blank for the first one. So go ahead and fill that blank in.
Should I continue or wait?
Just wait.
They're both right.
No.
So,
congruent sides.
It's 4 right angles rather. 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. Okay? So a square is a quadrilateral with 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides, and you take a look at that picture and you see it symbolically. And then, yes, Marcus, if you could please go ahead.
In this exercise, you will show that a square is a I can never say
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram. Okay, whatever. A rectangle and a rhombus. So a square has the properties of all 3.
Cool, good job. So a square is a parallelogram that has the properties of both a what and a what? A rectangle and a rhombus. Very good. A rectangle and a rhombus. So there you go. So what does that mean? Its diagonals are congruent. Its diagonals bisect each other. Its diagonals bisect the angles. Its diagonals are perpendicular, right? It's got 4 right angles. It's got 4 congruent sides, right? The fact that it says it's got 4 right angles means it's a rectangle. The fact that it says it's got 4 congruent sides means it's a rhombus. All right, so there you go. A square is a parallelogram with 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. So therefore, it shares all the properties of the parallelograms, all the properties of a rectangle, and all the properties of a rhombus. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, so basically everything applies. All the rules apply. Nice. So all the I don't know if that's allowed, but all the rules apply. Don't worry, I will protect you. So all the rules apply. All the rules.
It really does.
All the rules apply to these things. Is that pretty clear? So let's just go over these questions right here on the bottom. We're not going to do all of them because actually this is a part of your homework. But let's just go over number 20. How about that for now? That's a square. So let's take a look. First off, measure of angle 1. What's the measure of that angle?
90.
90 degrees. So 1 is 90 degrees. Okay? Now, what do I know about all the 4 angles in a square? They're what?
Congruent.
They're congruent. They're equal to?
180.
No, all these angles here. For instance, this angle plus this angle is 90. All the angles in a square, these 4 angles right here, bam, 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 they're all right angles, right? It's got 4 right angles. It's a little confusing because there's a bunch of lines there, but the 4 angles in a square are all 90 degrees. They're all right angles, right? So I know that angle 2 plus angle 3 is 90 degrees, but what do I know about the diagonals of a square? They bisect the angle. So what does that mean about angle 2 and angle 3? They have to be equal to 45. They have to be equal to each other. So 2 is 45 degrees, and 3 is 45 degrees. And for that matter, what do I know about angle 5 and angle 4?
45.
They're 45 degrees as well.
45.
Okay? Is that pretty clear?
We have to do 18 and 19 for homework.
You're going to do those for homework, yeah.
That's it?
But that's it. That's the lesson. You guys can, no, you have homework. Of course you have homework.
He was gonna give us homework either way.
Well, yeah, of course. What is your homework? I'm not 100% sure on the numbers yet, but I'm going to put that on my CCA. But it's going to stop on like question 20. So it'll be, look, take a look at this. Have you seen this problem before?
Whoa.
Yep. Have you seen this problem before? Yep. Have you seen this problem before? Yep. Okay. So you've done most of these problems already. So it's just going to be on this page, which is page 424.
You're so kind, Mr. Rainier.
Oh, praise God. Thank you.
Wait, what page was it?
424. Your homework is on page 424. I'm not 100% sure of the numbers yet, but I will put them on my CCA. Yep. Just check my CCA. What? And you want me to do those?
No, do we do that?
Yeah, you'll be doing 18 and 19. You'll be doing 18 and 19. So that's it. Any questions?
424.
Good.